nickname.
Sorry, I just want to make sure the recording is in progress. So if anybody's against that, let me know.
I'm going to be professional now.
It's fine. So yeah, today I'm going to show you guys some stuff on Liquid. I'm co-founder of Vulpem. We work with Liquid since a couple of years. We are Liquid member and we do cool stuff on top of it. So I'm looking forward to show you some of the stuff that we are developing and the tools that we are creating for developers. I don't know if I created a repository that, of course, you guys can follow later. I don't know if you want to follow at the same time, what I'm doing. That's perfectly fine. You can check it later.
I posted it in the chat.
So, sorry for my voice. It's like 1 a.m. where I am, so I'm sorry if I'm not as energetic as you guys, but it's like end of the day, basically. So let me share the screen so you guys can see.
I'm not seeing myself. That's awkward for me.
Don't look.
Like this part.
Was it just gone?
I'm assuming he's trying to share his screen.
There it goes.
Yeah, sorry. I think 1 second.
Oh, do it. Cool.
Okay. So yeah, on github.com, Tiero, I have my building on Liquid repository, and you will find all the stuff that I'm going to show. So just a quick intro for people maybe not that don't know Liquid at all, or just to refresh your memory. I think that the main feature, I can definitely talk about and and talk more about Liquid and in detail, but I think that it's much better to just do stuff, and I will just be very brief to what I think that the main feature of Liquid are, and then we will go to see stuff with our ends. I think that in the end, Liquid sidechain on Bitcoin, the main feature is signed blocks, or proof of authority, what people call it. We will see later why it's not a big deal, in my opinion. I think that in the end, the main feature is that you can have a provable way to have a wrapped Bitcoin on top of this sidechain. So we can say that one liquid Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin, provable. The very cool thing on Liquid, in my opinion, is confidential transactions. These allow to blind the asset and the amount in your transactions. And these definitely allow you to do a lot of more privacy, oriented kind of applications. And definitely confidential transaction helps in regards of proof of authority consensus, because functionaries who creates the blocks in Liquid cannot really target you and censor a specific transaction, since most of the transactions are blinded, so they cannot just censor a specific asset, since every transaction looks the same most of the time. Another thing that I find very interesting is the native asset issuance. For people that maybe have some knowledge of other blockchain ecosystems, they maybe know that creating token on other blockchain, maybe you don't have the same, I would say, is not a primitive. It's more like a smart contract or some kind of different way to treat the native asset compared to the token. Instead, on Liquid Bitcoin, which is the native asset, meaning that you pay the fees in Liquid Bitcoin, is strictly the same as Liquid Tether or whatever other assets. So technically, the primitive is the same. So you can literally treat Liquid Bitcoin and other asset in the same way. Another cool thing is 1 minute block time, I guess, and after 2 minutes you have complete finality. That's another interesting feature of signed blocks, basically. A very cool application of these primitives like native asset issuance and confidential transaction and so on is especially atomic swap. Basically, atomic swap is just, I would say, a coin join of different asset type. So in a single transaction, in an atomic way, you can swap different assets. And this is very, very, very nice. And it can help you to create decentralized exchange or swap markets. And maybe Burak is in the call, and we will show later to you guys some interesting application of automated market making on Liquid. Another thing that Liquid has compared to Bitcoin is that it's literally like Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin script, turbo powers, because you can do covenants. You have 2 more opcodes. One is check sig from stack and cat. So basically you can allow this to do introspection and basically let you allow to write covenants. I don't know if someone is already acquainted with covenants, but I will say that you can specify, you can restrict some policies in your script, not just about who can spend on when you can spend, but also where these assets needs to be spent and how they can be spent. Some use cases can be over collateralized loans, synthetic asset platform kind of. Of course, you can do better bolts, so better way to manage your own Bitcoin or your own assets. You can do Oracle redemption kind of contracts. So, and a lot of more. So I think that that's more or less my intro, on Liquid. I like to be practical and just to get it done. I think that the main, and that's one of the tools that we developed for other developers, is the main roadblock for you when you want to start is just to be very quick and to set up your own development environment. And Nigiri is basically a Docker Compose, more or less, with all the tooling that allow you to spin up your own Bitcoin, Liquid node, direct test, plus an explorer. And also we added some tool on top of it that allow you to automatic mine a block, when you broadcast a transaction, or maybe, to have a faucet or to have a way to mint new asset on Liquid, for example. All this kind of tooling extra that makes you handy when you want to develop. Of course, if you like to do continuous integration testing and so on, Nigiri is also a GitHub action. So I suggest you guys to take a look. So let's go. So I think I'm going to install my Nigiri on my computer. I think I have already installed, but let me do again. I think you can see, right, my terminal?
Yeah, you can see it.
All right. I think I will just zoom a bit. Okay, so the idea is just that with this very unsafe bash one-liner, you can install Nigiri. Of course, you can compile yourself the CLI, which will help you to spin up your own Docker Compose with all the stuff. But again, it's a reg test developer environment, so you can check the bash one-liner later. And
on the front?
of course, malware are included. Of course, I never put outside. So yeah, basically I'm removing and then installing again. Basically I'm deleting all the images and I'm installing again. Very cool. So we install our CLI. Okay, we there. So just with Nigiri start. Of course, Nigiri is also Bitcoin only. So if you don't like Liquid shilling, you can just use Nigiri just for Bitcoin. No worries. But of course, this is a Liquid workshop. So let's start a Liquid box.
feel like if we all actually ran this, it would like destroy the network here.
Probably. It's the Docker wherever containers read.
Yeah, my connection is not the best, but home connection. So, okay. So basically, okay, if you comfortable with Docker, you know that you can check what's happening. More or less, I can check all my container. I think that Nigiri has various commands that can help you to do a couple of stuff. The more interesting command is RPC, so it allows you to connect to either the Bitcoin or Liquid node, basing on the flag. And of course, also you can faucet. That's another interesting feature, I think, of this CLI. So, okay, the next step, okay, let's check also the fact that we have an Explorer actually. Okay, so locally we have our own Electrum Explorer plus our Explorer front end. So we have already mined 100 blocks at the beginning. So the next step I want to do is just to send some funds with the faucet command. What I'm doing here is just Nigiri faucet and -- liquid because I want to interact with the elements node, the liquid node, and then I want just to send to myself. So I'm just piping here a Nigiri RPC and connecting and getting a new address. This is very similar to Bitcoin core. Elements core is very, very similar to that. So we basically faucet to ourselves. Another interesting thing of Nigiri is that automatically every time we push a transaction to the Explorer, Nigiri chopstick, which is basically JSON pass-through, will just intercept that and will mine for us a block, so we don't need to generate a block erect test. Which is not happening apparently.
Do you have to switch to the Liquid network on your Explorer, or?
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, I was on Bitcoin. Thank you.
No worries.
So yeah, we mine. An interesting thing that we can observe here is that we cannot see actually the amount of the asset, and the transaction are confidential. That's why the elements node most of the time is creating confidential transaction, and in general, most of the wallets in the Liquid ecosystem are confidential. But we can definitely do also unconfidential transaction eventually, which in the end is literally the same as Bitcoin. Okay, so the other tool is the mint command, which allows us to create a new token, basically on Liquid. So I'm going to create 100 my token. The signature of Nigiri Mint is basically first is the address where we want to send our own assets that we issue. Of course, I'm just sending to the Liquid node itself, but I could send to another address, for example. I'm just deciding the initial supply of my assets. I'm deciding a name and a ticker for these assets. Now we have my asset ID or asset hash, actually, and this allows us to recognize a specific asset in the Liquid blockchain. Liquid Bitcoin has its own asset hash, which is, of course, by default, I will say fixed. It will never change. Every asset issuer will create his own asset and will have his own asset ID, which will be a unique ID for your own asset. So this is more or less what allows you to do Nigiri. So it will let you faucet, will let you mint, will let you also connect directly to the RPC, JSON RPC of the elements core, which is more or less the same like Bitcoin plus other commands. So I can, for example, get the balance. I get the balance, so I get how much Bitcoin my node has, and also this new asset that I just created.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
What was the purpose of specifying to mint the token name and ticker? Is that like a core concept in Liquid? Does that actually live on chain?
Yes, technically, when you do an issuance, you create a contract that you actually an hash that you put in the issuance on chain, and these allow, for example, Blockstream in the mainnet will give you a registry, and this registry will allow other wallet developer to connect to this registry endpoint, and given an asset hash, we can get down and verify the contract hash that we put at the beginning as a issuer. So I think that this is a more interesting for wallets to give a name, to give a ticker. For example, we can go check on mainnet.
Okay, so I was just curious if that was a one-directional relationship between like the hash gets you the ticker. I was curious if you could just issue every 2, 3, and 4-letter token and just be a jerk. But
Actually, I think that that's. I mean, you cannot do domain squatting kind of thing, right? So you can definitely decide to put to create like a USDT clone. The problem is that if you want to get registered on the blockchain registry, I think that they will. I'm not sure about that. I never tried, but I guess that they will preserve a unique asset for the first, right? So who came the first will get that ticker. But actually nobody, I mean, the protocol of elements doesn't stop me to create a USDT ticker, to create my own asset and just put my ticker, which is like Tether, right? Just that, user will just have the asset ID as a reference, as a, unique reference. The ticker is just, a convenience for wallets and user interface.
What about the domain name? Is there a proof of that you control the domain?
Exactly. So when you want to register yourself on the blockchain registry, you should have put at the beginning issuer public key in the contract hash on chain. This public key will be used in the future to delete or register your asset with the blockchain registry. The domain itself, you need to put in a well-known path on your web server. You need to keep a proof, for example. Let me see. So I don't remember the exact format, but yes, you need to keep on your own domain, like sort of proof. So blockchain can, recognize you as, the legitimate issuer at the beginning of that. Hope this answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is more or less Nigiri. So this can be helpful for development, and especially Nigiri can be run as a GitHub action. So you can run, since of course you have your own Electrum REST endpoint, so you can use it to do continuous integration testing and so on. So okay, my second part of the presentation is about Marina. Marina wallet is basically a browser extension, which is basically a liquid wallet, plus also injects in the pages that the user visits a web provider. This web provider allows web developer to connect to Marina, to the wallet, and to trigger some action like getting an address, or for example, prompting the user to sign a transaction, for example. So these allow web developer to completely create, I would say, stateless application, or sorry, I would say application without private keys. So web application that just create transaction, manipulate transaction, or just show balances, for example, and then delegate to the browser extension of the user to countersign the transaction, for example. In other blockchain ecosystem like Ethereum, you have MetaMask. I think Marina is the closest thing that you can get on Liquid. But besides that, it's just a basic liquid wallet, so you can send, receive, and so on. There is an extensive documentation, so if you want to develop your own web application and you want to integrate Marina in your own web application, you can definitely use all the API that the web provider of Marina exposed in the web pages. Of course, users need to consent, need to enable the specific website. So, of course, there is no, getting address of user without consent at the beginning. So, okay, we are going to install Marina and we are going to just to develop a very basic web application with it. I'm creating a new wallet here. So I'm creating a password. This will encrypt my private keys and will be needed every time I need to sign a transaction, basically. Of course, people take notes, so all the funds.
Only 12 words. What is this?
Okay, I knew this could have triggered people, and of course also the screenshot. That was the actually I expected more people at the gate on the screenshot, so we just interrupted too early. Okay, we done basically. So we can add our mermaid over here. Okay, so we can basically, the first thing that now I want to do, I don't want to use real liquid network. So I want to connect to my local Nigiri network, I will say. Okay, so next step now, if I remember correctly, let's send some funds to our Marina wallet. This address is pretty long compared to Bitcoin because basically we embed inside the address a blinding public key. This blinding public key works in the same way, maybe PGP encryption where basically we just use the address as a transport for this blinding public key, and this will be used by the sender to actually blind or encrypt encrypt to us, the transaction to make it confidential, basically. So back here to Nigiri, I'm just sending I'm just sending 0.1 at BTC. Again, the transaction is confidential, so we cannot see from the Explorer from outside. Okay, we have here our own 0.1 LBTC reg test, of course. Next step maybe now is to send our own asset that we just mint before. I want to get the asset ID, which I don't remember, which is this. I will send to a new address, otherwise people will complain of address reuse, also on Liquid, so God doesn't want. Okay. So let's send 25 of our own asset. The parameter is the asset hash in case we are sending an asset, not Bitcoin. Okay, we should have seen transaction. Again, here we just see maybe from an heuristic that this is more than a liquid Bitcoin transaction because we have two inputs. But again, this is just an heuristic because we said, okay, we have one for BTC for fees and one for the asset. But who knows? Actually, we can create input of 0 just to to create more just to mess up with heuristic and chain analysis stuff. Yeah, let me restore again. Sometimes okay. So we have our own 25 assets over here. Now we can, for example, send back to our own Nigiri and so on. So I think the next step was yes, to try to use the web provider. So just to write our own liquid web app. I don't know what's a cool term or a cool marketing term to use, but I think that's more or less what it is. So okay, so I'm just creating a very simple HTML file. I'm not at all a JavaScript or front-end developer, but bear with me. Okay, maybe I can show the provider first. So for example, if I just go in the developer console, now Marina is injecting my own provider. So I can check here the existence. Now, for example, if I try to get an address, like get next address, which is the API to get a new address received, we will get an error. So user must authorize our website. So what we do is to enable usually this website. So this website, which is localhost, of course, if we were online, will be the host name. Will asking us to access our own address and we are on balances. Now we can get an address. So now we can get an address, we can get the blinding private key. This is used to create watch-only wallet because without the blinding private key, we cannot decrypt. There is no problem in sharing. I mean, of course, there is a privacy problem in the private key, but having access to the blinding private key, you cannot sign, you cannot move or spend your funds. So this is more or less the provider. There is a full set of API. So now we are going to see in our own HTML file. Which is basically what already done, basically, more or less.
You can do async await.
Yeah, it's
When did that app?
like 2018.
I still need all that packaging.
No, no.
Error not found.
Okay, we do in a folder.
Well, I think it's only helpful browsers.
Yes. Makes sense.
Okay. So we have our own very, very good button over here. So again, we can connect and we can allow this website to access. So the cool part now is to just to show some balances now on our own watch-only wallet. Okay. I'm adding this very polished show balances function over here. I think I'm missing. Yeah, I'm missing some stuff here. Okay, basically what this is doing. A second, I think I'm missing some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the browser extension. App call up. That's what it's happening.
Yeah.
That's, that helps.
Yeah.
Really cool. The window that log me in.
You might try hard reloading the page, like using Control Shift, because if it's cached in your browser, it won't refetch it, right?
You're right. Again, I'm not definitely someone that knows. Okay. I
There
think
you
this
go.
should do. No?
Typically not with like HTML. And like extra assets.
Web dev is the hardest. Yes, there it is.
I'm cheating now.
Yes.
No. I'm cheating. I'm literally copy pasting what was supposed to work.
Yeah, you should need to reset the service. Fine.
Nope. 1 second.
Oh wait, no, they are there, right? They're just, are they hidden?
You have
Is
to
that
connect
it?
again.
Was there like a style on it? Oh
Hmm.
no, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's because you moved it into test, right? Is this the file that's in test? You
Should
know, you
appear at least.
file into test and then you're editing the
The
same
symbol
file.
is not appearing. So let me check this
But if
with
you,
this tool. There is some caching.
Yeah, it's something.
but is the index file has been editing in test? I don't think it is.
Haha.
LS.
Or PWD.
Well, it's already in the command prompt.
This should be the cache thing. No, nothing.
Yeah, but I think editing a different file than you're looking at.
Yeah, just do code index HTML again to like crack it back open, make sure it's the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wrong one.
So copy
Haha.
the upper directory. Just copy it down.
Haha.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Haha.
There we go.
Cool.
teamwork.
Yes.
Okay. So let's connect again. Yoo-hoo! We have our own LBTC, our own token. So you guys can go and create your own web app with this fabulous. No, joke aside, there is a full API reference with a lot of stuff. Of course, the cool thing that you can do is like atomic swap kind in the browser, or create application like kind of stuff. Maybe there is our own application of our own DEX that we do that we basically allows you to connect to TDEX, which is a liquid, I would say, off-chain DEX for exchanging assets. But of course, Burak will show us something more cool maybe later. So that's it. That's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. And also, I didn't, sounds less energetic than you guys, but it's late where I am.
Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Dude. Cool. That was awesome.